Lovely. Got disconnected. Good start. Is this a lot? Alright. Fucking hell. There we go. Excuse the swearing. We're back in the lobby again after all of that. Quick audio test, make sure everything's all working properly. Yep, indeed everything looks like it is working properly. Good. We'll go back in a minute. Sorry about that. Was getting some stuff set up. We are now ready to go. The drivers are starting to ready up. So welcome everyone to RFL for what is round number 10, coming to you from this week from the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, one of the newer tracks to the calendar. Been on the calendar for a few years now, I believe. Has seen usually title deciders or something of that nature for the last few years in real life, but plays host quite early on in the season for RFL. One other thing to note as well, which I did not note in last week's stream, due to me being a little bit more tired at the end of the stream, was the fact that this is a reverse grid race. So, the reverse championship order of people who are around is the way that they will line up. So, as we run through all of this, we have, obviously, we're looking at the standings while people are getting, the lobby is loading up. The drivers are all there. Having a quick look at the standings. Drivers obviously up first. It is still Vapid on top of the standings. In the Williams, he's on 104 points. He is quite a few points ahead of Ansmaz in the McLaren, who is currently occupying second, but he is level on points with Scott in the Haas. Para, who has missed a few races, and that has meant, interestingly enough, in the Red Bull, he's in 4th, with Kirby in 5th, Tom going in 6th, the two Alpines very close together, Checo in 7th, with Angelos Mott 8th, with Adam Lee in 9th, and Scrub runs at the top 10. Looking at that, obviously, there's a few other drivers there as well. The Constructors, as we head into this round, is Williams lead the championship on 114 points, mostly Vapid who's contributing to that. So Fresh has 10 points, I believe, in the championship. Aston Martin in second, point ahead of Alpine. So Alpine looking, if they can get a decent result, then they can definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons with Aston Martin. Haas not too far behind either. Moved up 1 from last week, above Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull having lost one of their key talismans from the season, Paraquex, who is now an Alfa Romeo driver, if I am correct on that front. And then it is a few points back then to McLaren, who's in 6th, with Alfa Romeo in 7th, 10 points behind them. Mercedes are in 8th, only a point behind Alfa Romeo. So the two Mercedes boys maybe looking to get some ground on the Alfa Romeo team. And then the AlphaTauri are 9th, and then it is Ferrari who currently are last in the standings. And I'm going to have a look at that weather because that looks very cloudy, and I want to go and see if that genuinely actually is raining or if it's not. Nope, it is dry. It just looks very cloudy. Was kind of not really expecting rain because it is Abu Dhabi, although it can rain, and I think most people, if it does rain, are not really usually prepared for these types of conditions due to the nature of the standings. Now, if someone would be kind enough to actually give me the way the grid is going to line up, unless that is actually already in one of the chats, I'm not sure if someone's already put that in there or not. Comments in there. Not really much to say, to be honest, at the moment. Just waiting for drivers. Obviously, usual format. We don't have the quality session this time around, obviously. The quality session is a 5-lap race, so once again, we'll probably have some pandemonium of some nature. Usually is in one way or another. Believe, having looked at a few of the tickets last week, there was some things that did come out of that. But, no, not much more to really add than that on that one. Just while we're waiting for, say, some other sort of real life stuff, while we're having a quick old wait. So obviously, what I was going to say, the driver's already up, so we are going to be going. I was going to look at some stats for this track, but obviously not. Let us head. Sorry. Get up there in the morning. Already being professional. Oh well. These commentaries do tend to get quite rambly after a little bit. We're just waiting for drivers to ready up. Lights are indeed on for the race. Obviously we will see if I believe it was Normal Jinx who is starting on pole. Has kept held of his place. MS Sora has managed to get himself up into P2. It looks like we have some drivers out wide behind. Looks like XCR Sen has already dropped a few positions behind. Dropped down to what is P6. Runs a little bit wide there. You got to be careful of those. That is, I believe, a Haas. That is VC Ryan, who's had a little bit of an incident. There's a Ferrari trying to go down the inside. I believe that's may well be Angelo's trying to go down the inside of Tom Gore, and it was. He's managed to get himself up the inside. Adam Lee obviously does have a teammate this week, obviously usually one of my commentators that I normally go with. Cal has got past Senna, I believe Kirby is also going to get past as well. Everyone just being checked up a little bit, there's a little bit of contact there. TMS a little, Senna struggling a little bit, looks like they're 4 wide behind. This can only end really well, they're a bit to go. Yep, this is absolute chaos here, as it looks like Scott has just got 3 positions in one go. Very good job there from the Haas driver. Dabhi keeps hold of P11 for the moment, but he does have Scrub alongside him, who is going to maybe potentially look at making a move. Button makes a move on Checo for what is P14. When looking at this, Vapid down the inside of Scott. A little bit of a dive bomb move there from Vapid, but it does make the move work, and Scott does leave him in the space. So the Haas driver drops back down to what is P11 for this moment in time. As Vapid there's XCR Senna, I believe that's Senna making a small mistake. There's Normal Jinx, there's a little bit of there's an incident for VC Ryan, who is backwards at the corner, infamous corner where Latifi lost it in real life in last year's Grand Prix and bought out that infamous safety car. We all know the history of what ended up happening then. We're going to go back to the front anyway while we're going on. Angela Small looking to be very close in the Ferrari to the back of Adam Lee, the 2 Ferrari powered cars, Ferrari customer and other one. So fresh at the moment, looking good, trying to get himself as close as possible. Senna drops another couple positions down to P13. I was expecting, with the fact obviously the reverse grid does create a little bit of extra chaos. Let's see if Adam Lee is going to get close enough. How it looks like CMS Sora's trying to make a move on Normal Jinx. The 2 sort of quickest people up at the front in the moment. Sora with a little bit of a wiggle coming out of there. Let's see if he's going to be able to do anything coming out here using a little bit of the DRS, obviously well known also as another gamer tracker, so Skittle Box. Para Quicks is out of the session. I don't know what has happened to Para. I believe there's been something's happened between the 2 straights there, and that's cost a lot of time. It's caused some issues, as So Fresh is going to lose position to Angelo. Just look back over the battle, and it looks like it's a little bit wide up the inside. That's a little bit of dive bomb there from Tom Gorian. Looks like Angelo, now having lost 2 positions, was being a little bit more kind. He's going to go up the inside though. So Fresh is struggling a little bit with the rear end traction as to come out of that corner. Not much space is going to be left. Angelissimo has to back off once again because he is off track. However, he is going to get the undercut back on the Williams and does get the move done. However, that is now good. As goes VC Ryan out of the race. He is in the pit lane. Nope, that was on track actually. So he's crashed there. I don't exactly know how that's happened. He is out of the race. Evening, Sarah. Sarah, welcome to the chat. Once again, as I say, just myself and my dulcet tones on commentary once again tonight. Due to the nature of, as well described it, his voice sounding like he smoked 40 a day, as Sora's squeezing Normal Jinx, as we've seen on board. Normal Jinx want to see if he can get as close as per what he possibly can. Scrub is very close as well to the back of So Fresh. So Fresh has got quite a few positions, as here comes Normal Jinx want to make a move. Sora's going to hug the inside line, and he's going to have to go around the outside. Normal Jinx will hold it. Sora is going to have the inside line. However, if Normal Jinx can hold this line, he will have the inside line for the next corner. He is going to be very close. They're going to go side by side into this corner. Jinx does decide to back out of it in the end. Sora keeps hold of the position in the Alpha Tauri, as now he's pulling away a little bit. So while we do that, we're going to go back to, I believe Cal has just been passed. He doesn't have much in the way of ERS left in there. As it looks at Adam Lee and So Fresh going side by side, a little bit of contact. So Fresh drops down to what is P10. for that, and obviously top. Oh, a little bit of a spin there for the Mercedes, the Williams driver. That's unfortunate there for So Fresh. He will be hoping to see. Hopefully his race is better in the main race. 28 laps, I believe, around the circuit. For that, as I believe Scott and Adam Lee have gone side by side as well, just recently, just having missed that once again. Scrub very close. Looks like there's a little bit of an issue for Adam Lee. He's maybe tried to get the DRS. Scrub may well have just taken the bait there, however, I don't know if that is actually the case. No, Adam Lee does have damage, so I think there has been a collision with himself and Scott, because those two were close on track. However, Adam Lee, even though he's missing part of a front wing, he does nerf the Mercedes slightly out wide. There's enough space on the left hand side for Adam Lee to leave a little bit more space there. As there goes the Mercedes down position to P11. Looks like Boris Letterbox is going to be under pressure. I'm going to be returned to him occasionally as that, considering it used to be his gamer TMS Sora. Has managed to keep hold of his position from Normal Jinx. Oh, the curb not being kind to Jinx there. Manages to keep hold of the position, but does lose a lot of time in the process. Almost drops out of a second, just keeps hold of it. Checo picks up the first time penalty of the race. Fortunate there for him there. Adam Lee struggling as we go back to the battle with him and Scrub in the Mercedes. Be keeping himself close as Normal Jinx has left the session, so that's unfortunate there for Jinx. Now that may well cost him a little bit of time to Tom Gorian as he's going to start losing time hand over fist. We'll have to see if we can maybe potentially get him back into the lobby in just a second. Nothing really happening at the moment, so we'll go and see if we can find him on the recent played list. There we go. May well just missed that. I believe that he's just lost the position there. Angelissimo now is going to get past him as well, so he's dropped off the podium and he's dropped 2 positions on what was the final lap. A bit unfortunate there for the McLaren driver, as it looks like it's going to be quite close between. There's Kirby and Cal are going to go side by side as well. Kirby is going to hold it around the outside. We'll have the inside line for the next corner, and he will hold it. However, we're going to back TMS Sora. Keeps his nerve, managed to get past early on, early stages as well, when at lap 3, didn't really look back after that. And the AlphaTauri driver is going to have pole position for the race, and does take, I believe, we've got the fastest final set to Tom Gorian's going to cross the line in what is P2. Angelissimo is going to finish in P3, Vapid P4, and Normal Jinx drops all the way back to P5. So that's unfortunate there for Normal Jinx. Kirby is going to finish in P6 for Callum P7, Checo is going to finish in P8. However, I believe he's going to drop behind. No, Scott finishes behind him by 0.3 of a second. Adam Lee is going to come home in P10, even though he has half a front wing. Scrub not managing to make any real inroads. Not too bad, Sarah. A bit normal, really. A little bit tired from working. A lot of hours here and there, but that's nothing unusual, to be honest. So Fresh has just spun once again, and I've just been on board just as he has spun. Oh, I believe Button may have also spun as well, just a little bit further back. What is going on with these graphical glitches? Jeez. If you have anything of epilepsy, please don't watch the stream at that particular point, because these are what is going on with the screen. Okay, game, please don't break. So Sora is your race winner for the sprint race. He will finish alongside Tom Gorian on the podium, who will get the second point. The final point will go to Angelissimo. Well, so good start to the weekend for the AlphaTauri driver. I believe who is a reserve. So your finish order for the Sprint 5 lapper, TMS Sorat in the Alpha Tauri wins from Tom Gorian, who comes from P11 to finish P2. Good job there from Tom Gorian. P3 for Angelismo from P9 on the grid, and Vapid comes from P15 to finish P4. Normal Jinx, how that disconnect off the front row finishes down in P5. Unfortunate for the McLaren driver, with Kirby, the American driver, in 6th, and the second Alpine. Then it's the two Aston Martins, 7th and 8th. Cal followed by Checo. Scott and Adam Lee will finish 9th and 10th. And just outside the top 10 is Scrub, Senna, Sofresh and Button, who round out the finishers, with BC Ryan and Paraquix, who will be starting on the back row in the Haas and the other Alpha Tauri. So Alpha Tauri's bookmarking both ends of the grid. Sorry about that. As we say, we're just waiting for the grid to be reformed back up for the main race. 29 laps of this Yas Marina circuit. Obviously, the new layout of the track. Obviously, haven't really went into detail. Obviously, wasn't able to get a full lap, and we'll get a lap on board with someone in this session once the action kind of calms down in the early stages. But obviously the reprofile and obviously the removal of the left obviously that used to be on last year's game in Sector 1 made the track a lot more flowing in terms of the way it really ran, all things considered. But while we're waiting, just a few sort of small things about the track. Obviously, fairly recent track in terms of creation. Obviously, first race it took part in took place in 2009, 1st of November. Obviously, near the end of the season, I believe that was the penultimate race of that season. Somebody can correct me if I am wrong on that front. obviously they were only original track that really used to have floodlights. Floodlights actually lighting up the entire. Well, before Singapore was, I think. Well, Singapore was 2008. Drivers are already up, so I can stop my rambling. Yeah, it's a bit all over the place in terms of commentary. Kind of need some action really, so I can actually go between drivers and see what's all going on. Few people have indeed probably disappeared, considering all things. There's less viewers than there actually is. Lovely. Which you can't count. Drivers are all going to be ready up, obviously readying up. Just a message from all the drivers, remember all your setups and everything else. Obviously this main race has a lot more towards it and a lot more strategy involved with it, even though this game doesn't really have as much in the way of strategy involvement with what is there from before, obviously, because not having even quality, you used to have the medium tyre in last year's game, so you could pick a different tyre to start on if you wanted to start on a different tyre. But obviously the rules changes this year have meant completely different things for that. Obviously just the soft tyres would be available in quality if there was any quality session, I believe. We'll have just a normal session that would go on. But obviously the change to the tyre regulations, obviously with that, obviously not having to start on the tyre you qualified on anymore, means that I believe it took away some of the actual risk really if you want to start on an alternate tyre. Might be wrong on that one, I don't know. Much clearer now than what it was earlier on. Clear skies for the drivers. Floodlights lighting up the track. Many hundreds, probably many thousands of overhead lights that line up all of the track here. But obviously, this track is well known for we're talking about real life last year, the controversy that happened in the race itself between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. But I still, just a little bit of a hot take on that one, that if they had actually pitted, he would have been, I think Mercedes could have been alright, they wouldn't have had the issues they had. But maybe that's just me on that front, and Mercedes pulled a Ferrari in terms of strategy from this year. But obviously, looking at this weekend, obviously real life this week though is we have Singapore, and the man who won it here last year, as they were level on points in this going into between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen can win this by a long shot if he gets a certain amount of points. I'm not entirely sure on all the numbers that need to happen for that to actually be the case of it actually happening. But well, as I say, while we are waiting, I already have mine. But if you want to get any refreshments or anything to actually sit down with, say just like a drink of any nature, good to keep hydrated, very important to do so. Would advise go and get them now before we actually get going, because we will probably be starting sometime very shortly, and the drivers will hopefully will deliver me an exciting race. So, although Abu Dhabi is not always known for being the most exciting races in real life, the only reason it was exciting last year in real life was because of some of the controversy and the stuff to do with Michael Massey. However, we're not going to go down that conspiracy rabbit hole, because if we do, that will probably trigger a few people. So we're going to keep away from that just now. Certain group on Twitter, you'll know what I mean. Obviously, talking a little bit about real life again while we're waiting, obviously would have seen that the stuff that came out today, the allegations about the fact that a couple of teams overspent on the season, that went over budget, I believe, from the season from last season. Obviously, one of those teams is not as important because obviously Aston Martin never really had a decent season, so I'm not entirely sure how they went over budget on that. It could have been for front wing replacements, stuff like that. This stuff is not exactly the cheapest stuff, the stuff to actually manufacture new versions of. And obviously the big story was, and I had a little bit of reading about a story earlier on, that Horner was not entirely pleased with Toto Wolff for some of his comments that were made about the team, Red Bull, potentially breaking the rules, which is still, as I say, going on. And there's a lot of the big allegedly on that front, but obviously that has just brought up a whole mess of a certain group on Twitter again, who obviously were quiet for a little bit, and they're just being raised back up again. If people are in chat, you want to put your predictions over who you think is going to win this race, as we just get the race session up and a running. We were starting at 9:30. 29 laps ahead. It'll be interesting to see what the drivers opt to go for in terms of strategy. Obviously, near the back, you'd probably be good with a hard to medium strategy. If it's mid-pack or the front, you may well decide to go for medium to hard, the other way around. Obviously, the hards do take a little bit to warm up. Obviously, we will have a formation lap on this one. We will get some of the juicy details up on the screen so everyone can see what's going on. So, mediums for most people. Mediums running all the way down to P9, who is Scott. Adam Lee has decided to go a little bit brave and is the only one on the hard tyres in the field, so if he can make that strategy work early on, he'll be in a great position later on with the medium compound tyres, guaranteeing there is no safety cars in this race, runs exactly as the plan should. Then it is Scrub all the way down to VC Ryan, who are on the mediums. Para again has gone the other end of the actual scale and has opted for the softs, so he'll definitely be making an early stop onto the hard compound tyres. Not really much choice unless he decides to go for a 2-stop. I'm not sure, however, if there are two sets of mediums available for the strategy to actually work on that path. And then Richie at the back is on the mediums. So it'll be interesting to see how certain people play this. Obviously, reverse grid obviously has made a little bit of difference here. But some people have already gained quite a bit of ground. Obviously, Tom Gordon Wright will be lining up on the same row as TMS Sora. So it will be Alpha Tauri versus Alpine. Not at all a mouthful, really, because sometimes I do have a bad habit of getting the cars mixed up. I really shouldn't. Sora is in a decent rush to get himself back to the grid. However, he may want to slow down a little bit at some point in the next few corners because he's realising there's a few cars a bit further behind. Having seen that, we'll go and see about the most positions gained in a little bit. And there goes a little bit of screen flicker once again, the game once again being a little bit weird. Hopefully no one has epileptic problems who's watching the stream, because that stuff can probably very easily set you off. Don't want that happening. But anyway, seizure abiding game aside, the cars are starting to line themselves up, get themselves right in the box and get the best start they possibly can. I do believe it's very easy to miss your box if you're not careful. There's the strategy on screen. Great timing game. A little bit slow. Only one person missed the box. So, very decent job there for most of the field to actually manage. Only BC Ryan had an issue. The lights are on, and it is 5 red lights. And lights out. And away we go. Decent start from Angelissimo in the Ferrari. However, he's boxed in by the Williams, which he does repass. A little bit wide from the Ferrari driver, does manage to keep it there. Obviously a lot of runoff area here. There are yellow flags further back. I believe that is Cal 17 F1 who has dropped 10 positions from 7th on the grid. As here comes Tom Gordon on the back of TMS Sora, trying to make a move down the inside. Sora probably having to use a little bit of battery, looking on board back from the AlphaTauri driver. The Alpine gets closer and closer. So Sora goes to use a little bit of the battery to get himself ahead, and does have enough straight line speed to keep himself ahead of the Alpine driver. Alpine's not going to be able to, Alpine driver's not going to be able to get close enough. However, we have Normal Jinx and Vapid. Normal Jinx around the outside of Vapid does manage to make the move stick on the Williams driver. Williams driver now going to have to make a move back on Normal Jinx. Obviously Vapid leading the championship with the most to lose here. Vapid obviously needing to make the move back. Scott now is looking close as well. The Haas driver, the only Haas we had, really sort of full-time Haas driver anyway, as we have a car very wide. That is Checo and Para, who's gone side by side. Para on the softs is up to 8th from what I believe is the back row of the grid, so a great start from him. So for it, I believe the other car who started in the back row has actually managed to rock up a few positions as well, as Adam Lee has dropped a couple of positions, has spun. So it's been an issue there. I believe Senna's also had an incident as the button does get past as well. His teammate going to go back to the front at Normal Jinx and see how he's getting. Obviously sees a lot of this queue going on in front of him. Normal Jinx can see that obviously a fair bit of the battery usage on lap 1, but you do want to use a little bit of the battery to maybe potentially try and get yourself away from some of the field a bit further down, as Adam SoFresh is already into the pit lane. Richie has dropped 2 positions. Kirby and Para are going to go on side by side. I believe Para may well have made the mistake and Kirby's got back past Para in the soft. Is now looking to make a move once again, using a little bit of the battery. Kirby obviously realising this is probably not a wise idea fighting. However, Para's not managed to fully get the job done quite yet. Kirby still alongside is going to try and squeeze the Alpine out just a little bit, so he makes the corner, and actually that only costs a position to F1 Checo, who is already using a lot of the battery. The Mexican driver trying to go round the outside in the Alpine driver. The American versus the Mexican. It's border versus border. North versus south. Nothing happens though. Checo does not manage to gain on the position there. As we're going to go back to Scott in the Haas, who's getting himself close to the back of Vapid. These two got very close in the previous race. However, Vapid managed to get the better of the two when it came to that in the 5-lap race. Sora is trying to break the 1 second gap on Tom Torian. Did manage to do it briefly, however was not able to do it there. And it's about the same between the top 3. The top 3 have stayed the same. Angelissimo got a great start off the line, a great launch, however was completely boarded in. Nothing could be done. Para now, wonder how long those softs are going to last as Adam Lee's into the pits. Those mediums, that hard strat has not worked. He's going to have to go into mediums and probably have to stop again and hope that there is a safety car, as it looks like that's Richie, who's also had an incident coming into the final corner, and he's had to go all the way around potentially with damage. So that's unfortunate for Red Bull there. Red Bull not looking the best at the moment for their points tally. Here comes Kirby trying to make a move down the inside, as Para though is still close. Para is already, seems like he's struggling a little bit on those tyres. The grip could already starting to go, as it looks like there's a car at the back once again. I believe that is Richie potentially at the back, as it looks like someone's about to get up fairly soon, as I believe Cal has also been in the pits, as SoFresh has retired. So this could bring out the safety car and neutralise the field, as that is in the penultimate corner. However, I believe he's retired on track, so he could potentially be penalised for that one. However, I don't know if he's managed to get himself into the pits. No, his car is still there, so only the yellow, nothing else comes of it. Down to Scrub, as it looks like Scrub and VC Ryan are close. VC Ryan's managed to recover himself up a few positions, considering what happened to him in the 5-lap sprint. Obviously not the best of it for him. SoFresh obviously is once again up to Vapid to score all the points for the team. Scrub looks like he wants to get himself as close as possible. We're going to go on to the Haas of VC Ryan. Looking behind, you can see the 2 cars chasing. There, as VC Ryan loses the back end, potentially got damage, as VC Ryan has just left the session. So once again deciding to just leave the session really after giving up like really early. I don't know why you do that. I think Richie M has once again had some issues in that final corner. So it looks like Angelissimo is going to be under pressure, as Tom Gorean has got a 10-second time penalty for corner cut, and I don't know what's just happened there. Tom Gorean, that's a big issue for him. I'm not entirely sure why that is the case. If that happened, and there might be some contact between Tom Gorean and Angelissimo, but that has meant that TMS Sora has got away massively from Tom Goring, 1.2 seconds. Now the gap between those two. Back to Scott. Scott up 3 positions from his start. From 9th on the grid, Para is up 9. So that from where he started on the back row, so very good job on the start for Para, but obviously Para's on the softs. So it's probably another 2 to 3 laps is what we're going to get out. You're going to get out of them, but you're not going to get much more than that, I do not think. Scott trying to currently chase down Vapid Coot, but Vapid is currently looking at the back of Normal Jinx. Normal Jinx struggling to try and make a move there. It looks like TMS Sora has spun at the first corner or the second corner, so the leader has now spun himself out of the lead. That's unfortunate there for the AlphaTauri driver. That promotes Tom Goring, even though that 10-second time penalty up ahead, and that puts Para up 6 positions, so he's up from 16th on the grid up to 6th. However, he will be coming in probably fairly soon. Sora is going to be absolutely fuming with that mistake. Normal Jinx, meanwhile, is trying to make a move down the inside of Angelissimo. Is going to be too far back. You need to be under half a second to be able to make the move stick around here. Ah, your rear wing was damaged. Okay. I wonder why we're having trouble there. Unfortunate there for yourself there, So Fresh. You'll be able to come back stronger next week. You'll be okay. BC Ryan, as I say, is not in this race now either. He's dropped himself out as Normal Jinx has managed to keep Vapid at bay. Vapid having trouble trying to keep himself in the chase, as it all looks like. Checo has dropped a couple of positions. It has been a spin coming out of that corner. Very easy to do for the Aston Martin driver a little bit further back. Kirby trying to make the move in Para. Now those tyres will be starting to go off the cliff sometime soon for the AlphaTauri driver, the leading AlphaTauri driver now. Was not expecting to see that a few laps after the fact that Sora obviously spun down 7 positions, having started on pole position. Angelissimo is still keeping just with Tom Goring up front, the Ferrari driver keeping himself just within a second, because he needs to keep hold of that DRS to try and get himself as close as possible. And go back to Vapid. Vapid is close to the back of Normal Jinx once again. However, he's not going to be close enough to really make any kind of a move in terms of anything really happening on that front, as it looks like we have XR, Senna and Scrub swapping positions a little bit further back. We kind of expect that to be the case between those two, so Scrub being the slightly quicker driver of the two, and obviously Senna still kind of learning the ropes a little bit. Obviously his first full season in league racing, or first, say, full game, really. He was around last season and was one of the youngest league racers that we had in our league. As Normal Jinx, while meanwhile still being put under a little bit of pressure from Vapid Coot, but Vapid not going to get in close enough at the moment. Currently in 4th place, would be good points at the moment for the Williams driver. The gaps further back are all very, very far spread, and we've only had 6 laps of racing. This could be a very long race, really. Nothing really does happen. It's like the Kirby once again though is looking to try and make a move. Looks like he's quicker in this sector. Para is into the pit lane. Para has got a 3-second for coming to the pit lane as well. I believe that is a glitch on the game that has reoccurred, which is probably something Para probably could get removed with his with the race director at the end, because that's a very stupid glitch if that is actually what has indeed happened. Kirby has dropped back massively. I think what was happened there, no, he was actually, no, he hasn't dropped back massively, he was behind Para, but Para did come in. Sometimes I think my brain just doesn't work properly. Not sure on that one. Para looks like, Para? Jinx is going to have to go defensive from Vapid probably in this next corner. I have Scott for company as well, right behind. He's looking on the, he's got a watchful eye at the back of this three car train. Driver looking to make the move. Angelissimo though, it looks like he's got a bit more grip now though than what the Alpine does up front. That was about a second, that gap. It's about 4/10 now between Tom Goring and Angelissimo, the Ferrari driver and the Alpine driver are probably about to go hammer and tongs at each other up the front. Hopefully they keep it clean and keep it civil. Give us a nice battle for what is going to be the race lead from sometime soon. We'll actually go on board and see how close the Ferrari driver can actually get coming into this next lap, lap number 8 of 29. Most of these people, most of these guys will be going on to the hards now. I believe also Adam Lee will also have to do the same. due to the nature of starting the hards, but obviously had a bit of an issue with his strategy. Obviously having some contact early on did not help the Alfa Romeo's driver's race. Angelissimo now trying to get himself close as he possibly can, but has lost some ground this lap. Can't use some ERS, potentially get himself close. Obviously this is pretty much a race of DRS trains. We'll come back to that in just a little bit and see if he gets close. After once again though, it's going to be a little bit closer as we have a yellow in the final sector. That is going to be Adam Lee, so his day not being the best at the moment, and Adam Lee, I wonder if he may well call it a day sometime soon because of what's happened. Richie does get past him as well. So VC Ryan, we know, is not in this race. But does still stuck behind at this moment in time, as it looks like Cal has got past Adam Lee as well as he's gone into the pit lane. Angelissimo, the closest he's got yet, 4/10 of a second, just about 4/10. As Angelissimo looking in the front, in the Italian car, trying to channel his inner Ferrari, try and bring some glory to the prancing horse, try and see how close he can get to the Alpine, trying to get himself close enough. But it looks like Checo and Para went side by side. Looks like Para's got the move done. Para's on the medium, so Para will be two-stopping. Interesting strategy choice there, as it looks like we may well have a car coming out of the pit lane there, which could cause some issues there. That was indeed Adam Lee, who's already been lapped in this race. So the Alfa Romeo driver's race is not going to plan there. However, could potentially get himself involved again as Para now sets a fast lap of 126.6 in the Alpha Tauri. So TMS Sora has managed to get back up. It looks like TMS Sora, driving a little bit angry probably, is now making a move. We're going to go back to the Alpha Tauri driver and see if he can make a move on the Alpine, and I believe Kirby, the American in the Alpine, has just let that happen, knowing the fact he will get the DRS for the next straight. Kirby potentially can make some moves work here. However, TMS Sora could have a tiny bit too much pace here. He's using a little bit of the battery, and Kirby's going to try and use a little bit, but he's not going to be quite close enough to try and make any kind of a move stick. Meanwhile, while that's going on, we have Angelissimo trying to get himself as close as possible to the front of the rear wing of that Alpine of Tom Gordon. A little bit away there from Sora, but Sora does manage to keep hold of the position, so we're going to go back to Angelissimo, see how close he can get. Obviously that 10-second time penalty could potentially be removed for Tom Gordon. He's not thinking about that at the moment. Adam Lee is not really caring. He's just want to lap himself, get his lap back. Obviously that is allowed as long as you do not impede or do not disturb other drivers' movements, as it looks like though he's probably going to have to give the position back in just a moment. However, Adam Lee probably doesn't want to do that with the amount of times he's probably screwed over this race. You can see the blue flags waving there. Angelissimo could take advantage of this and try and get some DRS. However, Tom Gordon up front isn't going to have the DRS. Angelissimo's lost time again as we go onto this straight, as it looks like there goes Adam Lee. Obviously not Tom Gordon's major issue at this moment in time. It looks like Angelissimo very close on the brakes to Tom Gordon in the Alpine. However, this could actually help. Looks like Normal Jinx has managed to get himself up as well. Vapid is just about a second and hanging on to the back, and looks like Scott is still keeping tabs as well. Looks like the top 5 is really the closest battle on track at this moment in time. Almost fit a blanket over these 5 cars, over how close they all are. Normal Jinx can see all this unfolding in front of him, and Angelissimo is getting as close as he can possibly get to the back of the Alpine. Tom Gordon has got a little bit less deployment than what the Ferrari does. That's a bit of a wiggle from the back of the Alpine driver, the rear from the rear of the Alpine. That's not good there, as it looks like it's a penalty for Normal Jinx. Again, I think that's a glitch curb or a glitch turn-in. You do need to be over a certain amount for it not to pick up, so you probably will see a lot of removed penalties after the race because of that happening. It has already happened to Para. Angelissimo's still trying to get as close as possible to the back of Tom Gordon. Tom Gordon's probably going to be looking a lot more in his mirrors at this moment in time. However, he has got DRS off of the back of Adam Lee. That's going to help him out massively, and Adam Lee trying to get himself away, and Tom Gordon trying to chase him across the track to get a little bit of slipstream, using a little bit of the battery. Is the Alpine. Let's see if Angelissimo is going to get himself close enough to try and get a move done. He's not going to be close enough there to really make that stick. Power still up at the moment, 10 position. It looks like that is Senna or Scrub, one of the two that has lost position. I think it's Scrub that's made a mistake. He is in the wall at Latifi corner and has lost several positions. Could potentially have damage off of that. Richie is going to be fighting him soon as well. Angelissimo is looking at himself, get himself close once again. There's a huge gap now. I don't know exactly what's happened here, as I believe Scott, I think Vapid may well have gone in the pit lane. Potentially, Scrub has retired from the race, but has retired in the pit lane, so there will be no safety car that will happen. Tom Gorian the first to blink of the front runners. Angelissimo carries on. Obviously, you got to be careful of the car maybe coming at the pit lane. Nope, I believe that is fine for the moment. So Angelissimo now leads the race. Everyone behind has come in from the top 5. Sora has come in. I wonder if Kirby will also come in as well. Try and do a good double stack. That is not what was required from Angelo. He's made a huge mistake and has had to reset. That's going to cost him a huge amount of time, and that's going to mean that the Alpine of Kirby is going to be close behind him. That was not ideal there for Angelissimo. Obviously those tyres are not going to be in the best of conditions. See, Button has got himself up to P8. Obviously Sora in the pits as well as Checo now as well. Probably I expect Sora to get back past Button very easily, but really that's what I would expect there happening. I have suspicions that Tom Gorian's made a mistake there. A little bit of lag from normal Jinx. I wonder if he's going to lose connection once again. A little bit of struggle with Tom Gorian down the inside. He is not hanging around. He's saying, I don't want this noise. Oh, his contract there once again. What is going on here? Normal Jinx is going to have to give that position back. Indeed he has. He's also given up position to Vapid as well. So I don't know what on earth has just happened there. I wonder if Normal Jinx has had an issue there. He has now left the session, so I believe he may well just be done for this session. Unfortunate there, obviously, with what happened there. May well be something that comes of it from tickets. Who knows? However, this now means that Tom is under pressure. Angelissimo's in the pits, but I believe he's due to the spin. He's going to lose out massively here. Here comes Tom coming around the final corner. Kirby also in the pits, obviously the other Alpine driver. I believe that is an Alpine, that's an AlphaTauri just in front of these two here. Para obviously is going to have to stop once again. It's up 15 positions at the moment, but will have to stop again for the tyres now. One stop for most of the drivers. It's going to be hard pretty much all round. Para we do know is 2 stopping. And Angelissimo came out behind TMS Sora. So that's unfortunate. There is Normal Jinx is in the pits, obviously not him but his AI. That has done that stop. See our Button in the pits from what was P8. As it looks like Para, as I say, Tom Gordon does have a penalty, and as does Para, but those are very much glitch penalties. Halfway through race distance, as Vapid looks to be trying to get himself past 0.6 of a second. Not able to get the best of exits though is the Williams driver coming out of this corner. Obviously we'll be able to see the 10-second time penalty. However, I think he will have to pass him for position due to the nature that the car, well, the driver of that Alpine will probably definitely take it to remove that 10-second time penalty that came up. The track limits are not the most, let's just say, consistent. Nice way of putting it. Still staying close at this moment in time. Looks like Checo and Button are going to be close as well. We're going to go back to this battle and see what happens. Button on very low deployment, Checo on equally low deployment, trying to use pin mate. Will be worth it for Checo to save some battery here. However, we know well the Aston Martin driver just does not care much for the usage of the ERS. So it looks like Angelissimo's in the pits once again. So something must have happened to the Ferrari driver who was leading for a lap, or at least a little bit of a lap. Probably not even a sector really. Managed to spin his Checo's, trying to keep himself as close as possible. Looks like Vapid is trying to get once again close to the back of the Alpine of Tom Gordon. You can see the AlphaTauri just in front, and you can see that he's trying to get close, but it's not working at the moment. He's going to have to hug the inside. However, A lot of battery has been used by Vapid, but he's not going to get himself close enough to the back of it. Obviously these two do have a little bit of history of not exactly, obviously I was having a sit down with some of the drivers earlier on, and some of the drivers were, as I say, not entirely taking practice all that seriously, but now, as I say, this is the most important part for taking seriously. The points are there in the main race. Obviously only top three are only getting points in the sprint race. However, this is for all the marbles, as now we head through for what is going to be around about lap 14, lap 15. Para is indeed on to lap 15, 8 laps on those medium compound tyres. Those hards are going to start coming into the run sometime soon. Scott as well, just hanging onto the back of this queue, right at the back. The Haas driver just sitting and watching brief, waiting for anything to happen behind these guys here, as it looks like he's still going to keep himself close. Tom Gorin trying to make a move on the back. Vapid trying to make the move still on Tom Gorin, has still not managed to make anything stick yet. Scott has barely any battery left over. Looks like Checo and Button once again. Angelissimo is on the soft. I think that's a mistake from Angelissimo once again, so he's had a pit stop disaster. That is a typical Ferrari strategy really there for that one. Button has managed to get himself away out of range of DRS from Checo, the Mexican driver, and the Aston Martin struggling a little bit, as we're going to go back to Vapid trying to get himself close as he can. Has not got close enough once again as we go into the final sector. Obviously this sector got a little bit of reprofiling as well, as you can tell there. Not the tight left hand, tight left right that used to be there beforehand. As Tom Gorin, obviously this battle, we know that Tom Gorin is going to drop back a few positions at the end of this due to the penalty. That is, they will drop back to probably about P6 at this moment in time due to the penalty. But we know that that penalty, I'm not sure, was 100% legitimate in terms of the fact of the game being a little bit stupid. So we'll have to see what does actually happen there. I fully expect him though to ticket that decision, as he's still keeping himself close, half a second. This is the gap you really need. You've got to be careful of that inside curve. You want to clip it a little bit, not too much though, as Vapid is going to get himself close, as Para looks like he's starting to struggle just a little bit on those tyres. However, he's still not falling into the range yet of the two behind of the Alpine and the Aston Alpine and the Williams. I said that wrong twice. Thank you, Brain, for not fully cooperating with me. Appreciate that. Scott though is still keeping close behind. He does need to save a little bit of battery here, is the Haas driver. So we'll see a little bit of the onboard footage here from the Haas driver to actually see the ding-dong battle that's currently going on in front between Tom Gorin and Vapid. We have a yellow once again. I believe that's Latifi corner once again. That is Adam Lee, who's currently had yet another accident in that sector. It is a green flag now. I believe that is Richie M who is getting himself lapped, as there goes Adam Lee. I wonder if this will pull out the safety car. Yes, it will. Whoa! What has happened there? I think there has been a collision and Richie M has just caused absolute chaos. I don't know what just happened there, but Tom Gorin is Paris in the pits, can go for a set of mediums now and go to the end of the Grand Prix if he can do that. However, this is not going to help Tom Gorin out all that much, because he does have to pull away a lot in this stint now. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Scrub, I wonder why you retired. What was going on there? Back. So currently, as we are under safety car, we have a few people on the soft compound tyres. This could be an interesting decision. Obviously, we've seen how this worked in an R League for Vapid. It worked out quite well, even though he was on very, very high tyre wear. It looks like TMS Sora though has managed to get himself. This has saved Sora's race a little bit, considering the spin in between turn 1 and 2. You gotta be careful of the Delta underneath the safety car, because the Delta can very easily screw you over. You can easily ruin your race with what can be an easy drive-through penalty, which is the punishment for that. It looks like Kirby is potentially going to have to do his teammate a huge favour, with Vapid obviously being right behind him. Von Goren has now opted for the pit lane, which now gives Sora back the lead of the Grand Prix. Onto the softs he does indeed go, as it looks like Vapid's in as well once again. What's going on? Kirby, that was caught on stream. I'm afraid you're not getting away with that. Yeah, that's definitely an illegal move there, Kirby. Well, that can be dealt with later on. I believe Vapid has damage again. He's went back and put hards on again for some reason, and not softs. I believe that might be a small glitch issue there. Not glitch issue, that might be an issue on Vapid choosing the wrong compound of tyres, I believe. Is he still in the pit lane, or is my game just completely froze? I'm not sure. I don't know if Vapid is still stuck in the pit lane or not. Something is definitely wrong with this car. This lobby might well be a bit glitched there. That was a very long pit stop there. Oh, nope, he's actually out on track. What was that about? What on earth is going on? I think a few people have realised that is not the right strategy call, and a few of them have gone straight back on, and Power is now in the hards. So, what was that about, game? Same as Sora, I believe Power's trying to get past, but the thing is, this Haas here cannot move. This is VC Ryan. He has to stay behind him. He cannot overtake him until the safety car restart. Power, this could screw Power over just a little bit. Tom Goring now is definitely trying to go for the strategy of winning the race. However, Power cannot overtake. You can't overtake Power. You have to wait until the next run. You're going to get told to actually let go back through it, as it looks like that's an incident for Cal, who has spun. Indeed, I wonder if he has indeed got away with it. He could get a 5-second penalty here if Power does not let that go. And I think there's been an issue there. Yep, there's going to be an issue here in a second, as Power has had to completely let a car go back. He's had to let him go back through, and that has just caused a huge roadblock. As we will have the action resume probably on either lap around the 20s or so. Tom Goring, that is probably, there's a bit of an issue there, but Power obviously should know a little bit about the rules about how that does indeed work. But as I say, it will be interesting to see how that does indeed go. While we are under safety car rule, I'm going to quickly plug something in so I do not run out of battery, and I can keep the stream going and keep an eye. There we go. Nice charge on that now, on the laptop, so should be fine. There's a little bit of screen flickering again. I don't know why the game is doing this. That's very much, it's coming up on the stream as well, so I do apologise about the little screen flickers. I can't really do much about it. That's just the game being the game. Still a couple of people waiting to catch up. XR Senna, and I believe that is it really. Everyone else is lapped, so Senna at the moment is, as I say, oh, what's just happened here? What? Oh, there we go, positions have been reset. I was entirely sure what was going on there. I believe safety car will probably be in next lap around. So two different strategies here between the two Alpines. It is Tom Gorian in third, who's on the softs, versus Kirby on the hards in fourth. Guys have always to say, a lot of them have come back in again. XR Button, Checo and Tom Gordon have elected to stay out on the hards. very much could be a make or break for a lot of these guys. Checo's died for the pit lane, which means there must have been some issue. There was an issue for the Aston Martin driver, and it has meant that Cal now inherits that place, and VC Ryan, who is, I think this has now meant that the XR Senna has now dropped up to P9. Angelissimo now has had his race saved as well. Kirby, what's going on here? Para's now dropped to second. What is going on? People, can you just stay in line and not overtake under... Now we've got a problem. Now Para's lost 2 positions and that's just caused chaos. So now it's second and third for the Alpine drivers. What? People, just a reiteration. You have to stay behind the car behind you on the safety car. Just so is not. We're about to have yet another issue as VC Ryan's about to cause absolute carnage once again, and that is VC Ryan having to go past. I don't know why VC Ryan did not just retire his car in the pit lane. This has caused quite a few issues here. Oh, safety car will be in this lap, so this chaos finally ends. Ah, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This game is just so busted with some of the stuff that it does. However, I need to keep in charge of a few things. Now, Tom Gorian's going to have a little bit of trouble here. TMS Sora can just go. However, Tom Gorian has to wait for this to actually happen here, as Tom Gorian's going to have to make the most of these tyres. TMS Sora is going to be a little bit slower. However, TMS Sora will be able to come back at Tom Gorian. He does have to make up 10 seconds in the matter of a few laps. Now, no overtaking before the line. I think that is alright, since that is a ghosted car, not an actual car. TMS Sora does indeed get a good run off the line. XCR Button has had to pit, and Kirby has held up Para. Para trying to go for a move into a corner you really shouldn't be making a move into. And it looks like Scott's actually caught Vapid out. Vapid's in a little bit of trouble here. There's Richie as well, who's involved a little bit in that. Scott's going to maybe try and send it down the inside. Decides not to in the end. Scott once again though is going to have another go at it. We have 8 laps left of this Grand Prix. It's going to be close as well. There goes Power down the inside of Kirby. Kirby loses the podium at this moment in time. Little bit of lag off of Power's car. The Dutch driver. Looks like Scott and Vapid as well. There's a lot going on now. There is Angela Simone in the background as well, side by side. Enough space, just enough space is indeed left between the Williams driver and the Haas. The Haas is still side by side with Vapid. Vapid is going to have the inside line for the next corner. A sweeping line round the outside. However, he's swept straight round the outside. There is a very distracting Red Bull of Richie, who's in this battle as well. Is probably not helping the cause here. For that there, as Cal looks like he's managed to get past Senna for what is P9, and Senna drops down to P10. Checo takes up a time penalty for the race as Tom Gorian is trying to make a move up front on TMS Sora. Needs to get a gap. It's not working at the moment. He still needs to get a bigger gap than what he currently has. Lap 22 begins. Tom Gorian looking highly aggressive. TMS Sora knows exactly what the game is here. Looking at the back from the Alpha Tauri rear wing, looking at the back of the very quick, soft shod Alpine. Is he going to try and send it where Verstappen sent it on Hamilton last year? No, he's not. Tom Gorian now is going to try and get himself up the inside into this corner, trying to use the ERS to get himself past, but Tom Gorian still not able to get past TMS Sora. Probably going to be on the next straight, I would think. There's a little bit of contact between himself and the Alpha Tauri driver. However, it's going to be close once again. However, the Alpha Tauri gets great drive coming out of that corner. Tom Gorian with a little bit of battery deployment, try and get himself as close as he can get. Not able to get anything done. No, Para now is on the back of this battle for what is P3, but does run a little bit wide as they come out of that corner with a wash of the dirty air. Tom Gorian is going to try and get himself very close, almost practically pushing the Alpha Tauri through the corner. Para just looking at the back of that. We'll come back to that in just a second. Let's see if Angelissimo's going to be himself so close enough in the battle for what is P5 between himself, Vapid and Scott. However, it's going to be very close. DRS is enabled this lap. Vapid is going to try and get himself past as well. However, the battle is going to be here as Tom Gorian is going to try and make the move on in the Alpine on TMS Sora. This is where it's going to probably be made now. However, he needs to think carefully about when he's going to make the move due to the nature of the fact of the penalty for being one and the fact that it's two separate DRS detection zones. Tom Gorian isn't caring about it now. He is using a little bit of the battery to try and get himself close. TMS Sora knows potentially what is coming here. He may well just let him go down the inside. No, a little bit of contact once again, not once but twice. The two Alpines are working, the two Alpha Tauris are working together here. Para trying to box in Tom Gorian, as it looks like Para's going to get himself involved in all of this. Down the inside, down the outside goes Tom Gorian. He does indeed make the move stick. He has to get the job done. However, has he used up the best of those tyres already? TMS Sora is still close, trying to keep himself within the gap of what he is going to need. Para does have a penalty, Scott does not. However, Scott is embroiled in the battle. What is Kirby? I think Vapid has had some contact with potentially Angelissimo, and that has meant that the Ferrari driver, while he's got ahead, there has been a bit of a gap, and Scott now has to worry a little bit about Kirby, as I have a little bit of lag off of Kirby's car, so there's a little bit of jitter. Not entirely the best thing there, as I think it's sorted itself out now, as Para is trying to get past now TMS Sora on much younger tyres. 7 laps versus 12 laps. The Alpha Tauri is probably going to swap positions here, so Para can potentially go after. He tries to lunge down the inside of his teammate, Max Verstappen style, does not manage to make anything happen, as here comes Para with the DRS. However, his teammate ahead, Sora, also has the DRS, with the Alpha Tauri, the second Alpha Tauri, getting as close as he possibly can get. A little bit more respect is given to the rear end of that Alpha Tauri from his teammate. Here comes Para. I wonder if there's going to be any real defense. However, look at that from Para there. The Sora, he managed to get a huge runoff. I wonder if there was a let off there from Para. Not sure about that. I wonder if Para knows he's got third place, potentially second place in the bag. Tom Gorian has not managed to make enough of a gap. He's only got about 4 seconds to Scott, as Scott is battling heavily with Kirby and Angelissimo. Angelissimo is the closest out of that group there at the moment, 0.3 of a second in the back of Kirby. Scott is managing to keep himself close at the end of all of that. 3.5 seconds, he looks like he's getting a little bit closer once again. Lap 25 of 29. I wonder if Tom Gorian will actually potentially after penalties take the race lead. However, he's not going to take it on track at this moment in time. Angelissimo looking like he wants to make the move in the Ferrari and regain a few of the positions that were potentially lost when he spun earlier on in the race. We have a yellow at the final corner. I believe that is XCR Button in the Alfa Romeo, who has lost the position and will probably lose a position there. Nope, that is a lapped car. That'll be absolutely fine. What a run from Angelissimo, as we know he doesn't have much battery. Checo picks up a penalty. Kirby is going to be very close. He does have the DRS as well. It does have a bit more battery. Angelissimo sends it down the inside. Little bit of contact. This is going to help out Scott just a little bit. Kirby, there's a little bit of side pod contact, and that is a half spin for Kirby. Not ideal. Once again, Sora still looking close at the front, and it's now promoted Vapid back up to what is P6. It looks like Scott and all that has lost a little bit more time. Obviously those tyres, I believe it's 13, there's only a lap between all three of these guys. 11 laps for Angelissimo, 12 for Scott in P4, and then it's P13 for what is Vapid in P6. Very, very close at the front. Tom Gorian still fighting off both of the Alpha Tauris at this moment. TMS Sora looking in prime position at this moment in time to take the race victory. From what is there, as it looks like Para has dropped a few positions. I think he's made a mistake in the final corner. That now from Scott onto the podium from what was P5. Drops up, not moves himself up into the final podium spot. Angelissimo's made a little bit of mistake. This is going to allow Vapid to maybe think about a move here. Now Sora has absolutely no pressure from behind. just has to keep himself in check right behind the Alpine driver. Mayo thinking about making the move. Vapid not much in the way of deployment. We're going to go back to TMS Sora, trying to make the move on the soft shod, probably very worn tyres on that Alpine now. He cannot pull away. 5.5 seconds. He's only got half the gap he needs for third. It's not enough at the moment. It's maybe not worth it for Tom Goring to battle here. However, he probably will, knowing the fact that being a driver, you really want to hold on to position if you can hold on to it. Sora tries to go for the outside. Tom Goring says no, you are not having it that easy. The AlphaTauri still close to the back of the Alpine driver though. There's a little bit of a lock up there from Tom Goring from the sounds of it. The little audio cue cutouts which do tell you that is indeed the case of what's happened. Angelissimo is almost dropping out of a second of Scott. Scott looks like he's just about keeping Angelo at bay at the moment. Vapid very close behind. Para has now dropped 2 seconds. And now in P6 from what was potentially a P2 finish. On track just now anyway, before penalties. Sora's going to try and get past as well. Button and Jinx, I believe. I don't know if Jinx is actually in this race, so I'm not entirely sure on that front. Vapid, well, we're going back to Vapid, see if he can actually get some more. He's currently going to get 10 points out of this race for P5. That's the standard. Angelo, that is a big moment for Angelo. I think he's bounced over the curbs and ended up on the runoff area, so that's not entirely gone to plan. However, we're going to go back to TMS Sora, who's going to go down the inside of the Alpine of Tom Goring. Tom Goring tries to defend the outside. However, Sora on the better tyres. Look at the difference. Tom Goring is struggling. 3 laps to go. The Alpine is really struggling on these tyres now, and I wonder if he's going to start dropping back towards Scott. The gap was 5.2 seconds, 5.5 seconds at its most. It's now starting to lose a little bit of time. Look at the graining that's on those front tyres. The rears are not much better for Tom Goring. It looks like Scott is going to lose his position potentially on the podium here at this point with what's going on. Obviously, with what I don't know what happened earlier on the race that gave him that 10-second time penalty. But Angelissimo could potentially do to Tom Goring a massive favour and fight Scott. However, these two might know the penalty that is ahead and they can just stay behind just for the time being. Vapid as well is going to stay close. So Vapid may will just be off the podium. 1.1 seconds. This is Tom Goring. I think the tyre is starting to die off just a little bit. 4.2. That gap is dropping between Scott and Tom. I don't know if he's going to have enough time though with the remaining laps to really catch up. However, if he's taking chunks of time out of him, this is going to be very handy for Scott. As Scott now, the gap's going to drop below 4 seconds. May well be if Scott does not make a mistake, which I think he just has for a second, which is good. That could have just cost him. Scott trying to make the move that he's trying to defend once again. Does go to the left hand side, then goes back to the right for the racing line, realising Angelo's not going to be quite close enough to make the move stick on the Haas. The Ferrari stays behind for now. It is going to be Sora, I believe, that it's probably most likely going to be the one to take the race victory here in Abu Dhabi in the reverse grid race, or reverse grid weekend. It looks like Angelissimo still keeping close. Scott is really, he's made a little bit of a mistake there. However, 3 seconds. He's really taking time out of Tom. Tom is really starting to struggle as there's a penalty for normal Jinx. I believe he is indeed now back in the session. He's way down the order in P12 though. He's not going to be satisfied with the result though of that one, considering the calibre of Jinx's driving that I do indeed know. He is quick but a little bit inconsistent. Sora is now pulling away massively. Tom Goring has used the best of those tyres up. The gap is under 3 seconds between Scott and Tom. Tom, as I say, could drop another position here as we have a yellow in what was the middle, the first of the straights. I believe that was Richie M at the back and the Red Bull who's lost a bit of time there. 2.7. This gap is dropping massively, and it looks like Scott, he is just taking time, hand over fist. He will soon be able to see that Alpine get closer and closer. This could be a potential thriller right at the end for will be the second place spot on the track. Angelo keeping himself close as well as Vapid. Vapid is just out of range though. Angelo could do a massive favour here. 1.9. Tom Goring is losing time. Those tyres are very much completely dead at this point. as here comes Scott. He's going to get himself as close as possible to Angelo around the outside. This could help him. However, I think Scott, as I think that's it. Tom Gorian, he has dropped massively down the field. Those tyres have completely gone. They fell off the cliff. I wonder if that might happen. Scott's now got himself on the podium, and Angelo is now into third, with Vapid now in fourth. However, we're going to go back to TMS Sora, who, even though with the spin, has managed it, and I believe there goes, that is the normal Jinx has retired on the final lap. Scott is going to be the one to finish in P2, just holds on from Angelissimo and Vapid with Para in P5. He will be a little bit disappointed with that finish, but what a great finish there as Kirby jumps his teammate for what will be P6 with that penalty, as well as Cal, who will also jump him too. And that is a huge just letdown for what was the Alpine driver. Obviously those tyres just completely dried. Checo will finish in P9. Senna is going to get P10. I think that's one of his best results of the season so far for the Mercedes driver. Good job for the young Scottish driver. Button is going to finish in 11th, and what really has only been one of his first races this season. As there goes Tom from the session, he is not pleased with that. Those tyres were completely dead. He was just dropping time hand over fist. See what was Sora in the end, just too much, not enough really happened. VC Ryan, I believe, is not in the session. Richie M is actually in the session, so Richie M will be the final car to cross the line. VC Ryan and Richie will finish behind though. I believe though, however, maybe not. Maybe Mail will drop down to P14. Richie M will be the final car to cross the line, so no points for Red Bull once again. Obviously, NT did not show up this weekend around, and that will be your run for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Richie M takes the fastest lap right at the end. Howard gets driver of the day. I would maybe be inclined to agree with driver of the day there. I'll just ignore the stuttering on the screen there once again. That's not really, that's just the game being the game. So Pat is going to be TMS Sora to take the race victory, with Scott alongside him and Angelo, who gets on the podium for the second race alongside getting third again. So yeah, the Ferrari driver being very consistent. He just got a little bit sort of boxed in at the start, but congrats to TMS Sora in the Alpha Tauri alongside Scott, who finishes P2, and it is going to be P3 for Angela. So your results order: TMS Sora is your race victory. Not a faultless drive from Sora. Did have a spin at one point in the race, but did recover with that safety car. Scott is going to get driver of the day for me. P9, P2 from P9, obviously just taking advantage of a few things that happened, finishing P2. Angelo is P3, so finishes P3 overall. Vapid P4, Power finishes in P5 from P16. Good recovery drive, but just a mistake which cost him right at the end. Kirby will finish in 6th, from 6th on the grid. Cal from 7th in the grid. Tom Gorian from the front row does not manage to repeat the same thing, as it's going to be P8 with Checo in P9, Senna in P10, Button in 11th with VC Ryan in 12th. Richie M, and then Richie M finishes with points, all the runners rather, and then everyone else who was not there was there. So we'll see if we can get, I don't believe we'll get TMS Sora, but we'll see if we can get a few of these drivers in for podium questions. Scott. Where is Scott? Why can I not find Scott? Okay. And I believe it was Los Angeles, so we'll just go into friends list and find those other two. Scott. There he is. Where are you? I'll add you. Why can I not find Scott? Yeah. Say I can't find. Why on earth can I not find Scott? That's annoying. Professional, honestly. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Why was that just not so easy for me to try and do that? There we go. So just make sure to include your audio so everyone can hear your voice in the stream. Right. Alright, so congratulations. So
hello everyone!
Yep, as I say, everyone make sure your audios are all included so that everyone can hear your lovely voices. And I believe if it's in
yes, I have a very lovely voice.
Now, where do I find the options of the cars again? F1 Life is in virtual showroom.
So, here I am.
There we go. So, third place. So, welcome to the podium. Your third place driver and your first driver to feature in this is going to be Angelo. A very, very sort of consistent drive from yourself over the entire weekend. Obviously, 2 third places. Talk us through how it went for yourself.
Well, considering the beginning and the end of the race was pretty good, actually, I recovered quite well. But as you probably saw, I spun on. After everyone else pit. I don't know what happened there, just kind of lost the car and wing damage. Up until that point the race was going very well, and then yeah, I tried to pit, change my tires, but didn't change my front wing, so I had to redo another 2 pit stops to get my hard tires back and my front wing changed. And I was just hoping for a safety car basically, and that literally a lap later it came out, and yeah, I tried to get through as quickly as possible. I sadly had an unfortunate collision with Kirby in the process.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if that would have been caught in the stream or not.
Yeah, I feel horrible for that, but you know. And in the end, I saw people spin. Tom and Para, I think, and that put me in 3rd place, but I wanted to try get 2nd place theoretically, but I tried to go around the outside of a fast left turn, but it wasn't enough. I didn't have enough ERS to close in the end, but pretty much fun race. I enjoyed it, except the middle part, but you know, that's what happens. Congratulations to Zora and Scott for the podium, and yeah, I hope I can get another result next week similar to this.
Yep. And as I say, you mentioned next week we have a brand new track, which I believe we have not seen for a few seasons in real life, and maybe a few. Obviously, it wasn't last year's game, but not on this year's game up until the latest update. We will travel back to the Shanghai International Circuit in China. So obviously, having not driven it for a while, how are we feeling going into it?
I've done a couple of laps there, just casually, and the track feels pretty good. I enjoy it. With these cars. Corners where I actually didn't think you could do full flat out. You can actually do them with the right setup, and it's quite thrilling. So I wonder how it's going to go next week. I feel good about that. Love that track. Quite fun to drive on. So I've had quite a bit of success here in previous leagues at China usually. So. Also where I got my first league podium as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that next week.
Thank you.
And on to 2nd place. Obviously, that was Scott in the Haas. Welcome to the podium, sir. Obviously, so a mixed weekend really in terms of how everything went for you, but as I say, talk us through it from your perspective.
Well, starting further back on the grid, near the back, because I'm so good, wasn't ideal. I would have liked to be in sort of my usual positions, and during the sprint, had a few issues with other cars, you know, being in the pack and all, but I had a stupid spin during that. It's very uncharacteristic error from myself, but yeah.
Anything else? You just kind of cut off mid-sentence.
But yeah, sprint was fine. apart from the spin in the race itself, DRS train was where it was at. Spent most of the race in that, but then when the safety car came, when the first pit stop cycle around, it was a bit more difficult to catch up, and then safety car, I don't know how it happened, but I don't think the Red Bull ghosted, and I rammed into the back of Vapid, who rammed into the back of someone else. That wasn't nice, and yeah, having to make the pit stop, I had to pit into the softs and then pit again the next lap onto hards, but luckily since I'm so great and I was so far ahead of everyone else anyway, I didn't lose another position for doing the second stop. And then at the end, it was just giving it everything and managed to get past Vapid and managed to get P2 in the end. So I think overall, great result.
Obviously, you talked a lot. You talked a little bit about the battles you had in that race. You used to say you were stuck in a few DRS trains. What was your mentality and thought that was going through your head while that was all happening?
Well, I thought, it's a nice opportunity to save a bit of battery. I wasn't worried about the fuel. I knew what the fuel was like before the race, and I mean, it was inevitable that there was going to be a safety car out on track at some point in the race. It's a league race, obviously, it's going to happen. I was fine, although at times I was struggling to keep up with it, and it's probably just a car issue. But yeah, I think I was fine at the end of it. So I know once you made it to the pit stop, I just wanted to stay in the. I thought once the two guys ahead of me pit in, I just thought use all that ERS and just absolutely push until you get to the pit stop. But that didn't work out. They undercut me, so I had a bit more work to do than I thought.
Fair enough. As I say, still came away with a good result there. We move on to China next. Is this a track obviously a track that's probably you haven't driven all that much? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling very confident. Because China's a very. I like China. It's a circuit that you can really get a good flow around. Because of the way that the corners are. It's going to be interesting to see how people take the left, right, the long left, fast left, followed by the right-hander in the middle sector. I haven't driven the track in ages, mainly because I haven't had any reason to, but hopefully the results in that race will be a lot better than this one, especially if I'm back to my usual starting up at the front like it should be.
I believe next week is a normal week, so...
Yes. So there's no worries about me starting near the back again.
As I say, congratulations on your second place. Hopefully, look forward to seeing how you get on next week in Shanghai. And finally, name I haven't really spoke to on the podium all that much. I've not really, at least this season. Welcome to the top step, TMS Sora. Obviously, we know that you have a lot of pace, and you did very clearly show it in that race. Very few blemishes in that race, but as I say, talk us through your race from your perspective.
Well, I was kind of gifted pole from some dodgy gimmicks you've got going on in the league. But the race itself, kind of boring. The first part when I spun was a really weird spin actually. I'd half spun the first place, recovered it, thought I'd recovered it, and then spun again. So maybe I had overheated.
I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, I think I just hit the curb and the tyres must have got hot from that half spin and I just didn't get it right. Or I'm not used to the game yet, and I hadn't driven this track before, so it was worth trying. As in, I haven't driven it in terms of the new layout. I kept on mentally thinking, oh, there's the chicane here, I better go through that. Like, I even fucking tried to do that, and wasn't expecting it. Yeah, it was my own boss faults. But then, obviously that safety car did all the overtaking for me. I mean, I made up all the ground back. I got to about 4 seconds behind the pack after the spin. and the safety car came out, so that put me back up to first, because I don't really know why everyone pitted, to be honest. There was no way the Sauce were going to the end. You saw it with Tom. And
indeed, yes, we did.
And to be honest, I expected Paraquix, because obviously he pitted for fresh hards, I think it was, so he would have been about 15% better than everyone. But I don't know.
Yeah, I believe he had a spin coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, he put in the chat something about screen freezes, but I've not seen that in this game yet, which actually is quite amazing for a Codemasters game. But no, I knew Tom would drop off in pace, and I kept in the DRS, which was the main thing. So I just thought, let him go. And then, yeah, that was it. Really wasn't much.
Fair enough. Obviously, we move on to China. Don't know if it's a track you've really driven a lot since probably about it was either 2020 or 2021 when it probably would have last been prevalent. But as I say, talk us through exactly how you're feeling going into it.
Probably won't race because it's China. I hate the track. I wish it just wouldn't come back as DLC and we had something else. Just give us Turkey or something. It's only there because it's in the game files and they did so much work to it last season. They can't really... It'd just be a waste of development money to bin it for them. The only reason they've... Getting rid of Russia is obviously because of, well, you know, what's happened. That sort of thing. But, yeah, no, I don't really know. I don't like it. I never have liked it. But I'll give it... If I do turn up, I'm not sure I might have plans in the first place, to be fair. We'll see what happens.
Fair enough. As I say, if you do, then wish you all the best of luck with that. If not, we'll see you on the podium whenever you are again on the podium.
Yeah, thank you.
And with that, we round off the podium questions, and this was round 10 from the Yas Marina circuit here in RFL. Hope everyone enjoyed the stream. We will now be rounding off, and we will be in, I believe, China next week. As I say, a DLC track returning on the calendar, but
DLC.
until, yes, loosely we mentioned that. Anyway, before we go down a massive rabbit hole of that, we will round off, and we will see you at the Shanghai circuit next week. Next Saturday. And then, as I say, we also have XCR tomorrow. Commentary from Swayze and XCR Leclerc on that front. So, with all that said and done, it's time to end.